Maybe you've seen my previous video revealing the top 10 characters in backyard baseball. With that mystery solved, the comments demanded a new case be opened, this to unearth the worst characters the game has to offer. Doing this properly, with high accuracy, would require many more dozens of hours of research, but I care about my viewers and supporters, especially those who click like and subscribe to show support for a small channel yet to reach 1,000 subscribers. Here's your bottom 10. Ernie Steele is often lauded for having a more reliable glove than most kids in the league. Unfortunately for him, that is far from a key component to what makes a good player in backyard baseball. When it comes to hitting and speed, he is below average in both categories. His strike zone is large and his swing can be finicky. When he manages solid contact, he tends towards a low trajectory, making him largely a singles hitter, which doesn't pair well with his awful speed, and he can easily become a clogger of the base paths. Ernie, the lanky goofball, finds himself rounding out the list of shame. Rhys Worthington brings a sharp contrast to Ernie in stature, but not in overall baseball skill. His small strike zone doesn't prevent him from swinging at air more than should be his fair share. He too keeps the ball low with solid contact, but a bit less pop than Ernie leads to fewer extra bases, despite his slightly better speed. Still, he can manage to occasionally sneak a ball out of the yard by going right down the foul line. Recommended use for him would be in the outfield, although his weak arm can become a problem should the ball find him. Rhys, the miniature asthmatic, is found in spot 9. Sally Dobbs is similar to Rhys in speed and in strikeout frequency. Rhys got her by a few ticks in the OBP category. Still, her serviceable speed can lead to her being a top run producer as far as this list goes, and she can sometimes come up big with the glove. Sally has an interesting mechanic similar to Amir and the Weber twins. She receives a bossiness buff when her little brother Ronnie is teamed up with her. If active, she would not be included in the bottom 10, as she is quite a force. But she is definitely worthy without it, so I chose to include her. It's kind of like she's two players, Sally with Ronnie and Sally without. Sally without is the 8th worst player in the game. Ricky Johnson represents a bit of a drop-off in pop compared to the start of the list. He barely has the strength to leave the infield. If he can manage to reach base, his speed is average, which qualifies as a strength in this company. In the field, I'd count his glove as a better asset than his arm, making him a decent candidate for first or second. Timid Ricky, number 7. Don't select him off the drafting bleachers unless you intend to follow through. Even the most callous among us will cave to his rejected whimper.
I'll just watch the game, if that's okay with you.
Lisa Crockett is a very close Ricky comparison in speed and hitting. At the plate, her eye is a bit more honed, leading to a more specific swing spot, but her swing's accuracy is a bit less dialed, so it balances out. She has a little more mojo in the arm, so maybe she fills a spot at third or in the outfield. From behind her massive rims, Lisa maintains a steady, emotionless stare. Yet the other kids apparently call her Mad Dog. Should we be concerned? I have her as 6th worst in the game, but please, no one tell her. Mikey Dubois has a lot more personality than talent. His very low-power bat manages to make fairly consistent contact, but once you see him stumbling to first, you may wish he struck out instead. He has a crush on Billie Jean Blackwood and will receive a buff when she's his teammate. Playing with the Sox, his abilities dip big time. Apparently he dislikes socks. Who knew? But playing against them and his stats skyrocket. If the stars aren't quite aligned, however, your good old boy Marky isn't going to be the strongest player. 5th worst, in fact. Kimmy Ekman is a low-tier player with a lower-tier sprite. She sometimes surprises with a bit of pop, but it is so rare because drawing solid contact from her requires an act of God. But you may as well have her swing for the fences because with the ball in the park, she'll never round the bases successfully. As a bonus, she also has some of the slipperiest hands in the league on defense. Best to hide her in the outfield and hope that if it does go her way, she doesn't have to move too much. Freckle-faced Kimmy is 4th worst in the game. Jorge Garcia is perhaps a top choice for league's worst player due to his 2-2-2-2 skill ratings, but I can assure you, he is definitely better than 2 players, and I'll thank you to stop disrespecting him. Jorge doesn't have a power bat, and his contact is bumpy too. I found over time that taking line drive cuts with him led to more desirable results. His speed is poor, but not abysmal, and his defense appears to be somewhat of a strength, so there's that. This well-mannered gentleman definitely deserves 2 rungs up from dead last, and how dare you suggest otherwise? Ronnie Dobbs has a rough existence. Like Kimmy, if he has a strength, it's his power, but he has a difficult time actually connecting, so the power rarely shines through. His speed and glove are also Kimmy-esque, so hiding him in the outfield is a necessity. At least his arm is decent. While Ronnie does have the ability to give his big sister a boost by sharing a common roster, he unfortunately is negatively affected by Sally's close proximity and receives significant stat reductions. If he's paired with Sally, he would in fact be the worst player, but standalone, the downtrodden toddler is only second worst. Gretchen Hasselhoff is the worst player in the game. She has no idea where the ball is going, she has no ability to connect with it, and if by sheer chance her bat finds some leather, it has almost no shot to get out of the infield. Power like hers is especially bad with slow base runners, as doinking a ball to an infielder can become a real rally killer. The only thing that can be said for her is she does have some speed, so maybe legging out an infield hit is possible. In the field, her arm is league worst, so she is a bad idea for the outfield. Placing her behind the dish is probably the best option, at least with no runners on. Jabberjaw has a lot to say herself, but there's not a lot to say for her. She's the worst in the game. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If there's interest, I can put out a video of trying to win with the worst team in the game. Tell me if you want to see it, and don't neglect to critique my list, even though it's perfect. Thanks for watching.